Safety squinch. Check it out. It's the opposite of squat. We got the old school forward dragster rake going on. Woohoo! So, do I make a video? Do I not make a video? Pressed for time. Having some problems. Don't know. I think I'm gonna make a video because it keeps pulling at me a little bit. I feel like this is an experience you guys wouldn't mind sharing with me. So, I guess I'm making a video. What I'm up to today is I'm trying to remedy a bunch of leaf spring noises, creaks and pops and bangs, and a little bit of suspension sag that this thing has. So what I've ended up doing was decided to upgrade the rear suspension and rear leaf springs, particularly on this 2007 Chevrolet 3500 Silverado with Duramax. It's a four-wheel drive. It's a dually. That's got the big boy package all the way around. This started off with me changing out a U-joint that I had submerged in salt water a couple weeks ago during one of the hurricanes, and that didn't go so well because I broke the U-joint that I was trying to install and managed to poke a hole through the cup trying to press it in. So I can't get another U-joint or the piece that I broke until like tomorrow, so I'm sort of dead in the water in here. And I figured that since I had a pile of parts sitting outside that I sort of ordered before the hurricane, I figured I could take the opportunity to change those out and initiate my improvement slash maintenance upgrade on that particular truck over there. So that's sort of what I'm trying to squeeze in. Now the thing about this is, and here's where the upgrade comes in. Take a look at these overload springs. See how there's two springs in this pack? These are 1,000 pound overload springs. Now the factory unit, they came with two different options. You could get them in a 500 pound overload or a 300 pound overload. Now these are the thicker springs. I believe they're 7/16 at the mounting point. These are the 500 pound overloads. Now the reason they're an overload spring and not part of the pack is for ride quality. You see we've got the front of this leaf here on its hanger. Then back here you got the rear of that leaf on its hanger. And then bolted right to the middle of it, you got this little free-floating helper spring, so to speak. Now, when this thing's loaded up and this bottom spring collapses a little bit, these bump pads will make contact with these overloads, and then these springs can come into play. So what I'm doing is I'm replacing this spring pack with the same size spring pack to maintain ride quality and ride height. And then when we get that installed, rather than using the single 500, I'm going to put in this dual 1000 and increase my overall limited squatting during high load situations. And I do put this vehicle through some high loads. It tows a very heavy trailer with equipment, and then I got other trailers that are heavy. I got some dump trailers, some car hauler trailers, and I really don't watch or like watching my truck squat. So let's get after it. Clearly you can see I've got the wheels removed. I started already on it. And I'm at a point now where we're gonna start really tearing this down. So let me get the impact guns out. We're gonna get some big sockets and some wrenches and some saws and whatnot. And we're gonna get this unit apart. So stay tuned. This is gonna be a very good video. So normally I'd wanna do this up in the air, but since this truck weighs all of about 9,500 pounds, figured since the lift over yonder is being used and the small lift is not capable of picking up this truck, we're gonna have to use the on the ground floor method to get any headway here. Additionally, we're breaking out the pneumatic tools because I know the electron tools are just not gonna cut it. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and take these U-bolts a little bit loose. Now you see I've got a floor jack under the axle here. That's not what's holding the truck up, because you can't take the springs out if the springs are holding up the truck. Out back I've got a floor jack on some blocks of wood, some primitive cribbing so to speak, and that's up here on the trailer hitch next to the exhaust. So this thing's not going anywhere. Front wheels are chalked and blocked up, so I think I'm good to go to safely start disassembling. Let's hit it and see how this goes. Fail. I said loose, not off. I'm just gonna back these off a little bit. Make sure everything's gonna come apart nice and smooth like. So far, so good. That guy's loose. We're gonna make sure it all comes apart before we start pulling things apart. So this is definitely a rolling around in the dirt kind of day. That's just how this is gonna have to go down. You guys bear with the weird camera angles and the flippy floppies on the floors, okay? Dusty. Sandy Dusty. Alright, well that one's off. Put this thing, I'm gonna have to reuse these nuts. I said it. There's that one. That's my washer. Might as well go ahead and pull this other one off here. A lot of dirt falling out of this unit. Yeah, there was absolutely no chance in Hades that the electric gun was gonna pull us through on this one without a couple battery changes. There we go. All right, so we know that the U-bolt bolts are gonna come out. Let's get after gravity of the flashlight. Let's get after these front bolts here on the spring pack. Let's see what I can do about getting these guys to come out. Now, although this thing is set up relatively safely, I don't really want to be under it, like with my head and things like that. So I'm trying to hang out over here without putting my body parts down under here, because you never know when something catastrophic like a flashlight falling might occur. All right, now I'll universal joint it, try to get around that corner. Let's see if that works here. All right, flashlight, I'm done with you. Stick that up there. All right, we're getting somewhere. It turned. I'm going the wrong way. Okay. I'm gonna leave that in. Oh shit. Take it. Flip that around for now. Now that thing is still secured on the front side. So we may now flip around to the back, and I'm gonna unbolt this unit right here at that hanger. We're gonna pull that hanger off, leave that hanger on, because I'm putting new hangers on this unit as well. So for the bolt side, we're gonna go around there with a ratcheting big old wrench just to hang on to that bolt. Like so. Come in up top, pull the nut. Everything is a hammer. I think this one can come out. Ooh, it can't come out. Look, there's a trailer hitch in the way. See that? I have to cut it off. Okay, you win. Destructo time. Got a Sawzall coming in here. Just gonna chop this bolt off. Free here on the back side. See that? We're just chilling. Let's go down below, unbolt it, and then we'll pull the bolt out of the front. We'll let the jack down, drop the axle down some, then we can pull the axle or the spring assembly out of the unit. Wrong way. base plate and one of the other springs. So now this spring is pretty much free floating in here, just hanging out. Pry bar. Okay, so up front, I'm gonna lose that bolt again. Make sure this thing's free. Yep. And it looks free on this side. About up here. It's coming out. Yeah, she's gonna come right out of there. It's pretty. Let's see, how am I gonna do this? It's heavy and dangerous. And it'll break my brake line if I don't do it right. There's a pin in the center of this that's sitting on top of the hanger on the axle. I'm trying to work that pin up and out, and then I'll slide this thing towards me and out of the front. It's close. Here she comes. Oh, heavy, super heavy. Got it. Whee! All right, there's that big old spring pack. Let's drag it out and line it up next to the new one. Here, you. That's quite a spring pack. So right here, here's something to notice. You see the bushing right in there? That bushing is smashed and dry rotted, being pressed out, and I think that's part of the noise that I'm hearing. The other part of the noise I'm hearing, and this doesn't apply to just springs, but do you see all that metal looking rust business in there? That rust is due to metal on metal contact. And if we look a little closer, see these little pads right in here that separate these pieces of spring? This one is missing. So this spring is rubbing on the upper spring, and it's actually wearing a groove into it. There's some material missing right here because this spring is constantly working on this one right here. And if we, I don't know if you guys can really tell on camera, but I can see where there's a slight bend in it right here at the edge of this. So this spring's been overloaded before, maybe once or twice, and it has suffered some fatigue. So I'm glad we're changing it out. So bringing the new pack in play, or place rather, go ahead and get these kind of matched up. Now you can see that top section is not there. We have to build that top section into it, which I will do that shortly-ish. Let's see. These are two different size holes. This one's a different size than that one there. I think this is the correct way, correct orientation. You can get these things backwards, which is not good. Here, I'll figure out which side is which right now. This is the front bolt for the front spring hanger. Like I said, those are different sizes. That one fits there. Back here does not fit. So now we know what orientation this spring pack is supposed to go in. My packing label. Give me that. Over here on the other unit, I sort of have the two pieces mocked up. They come with a spacer, or you install a spacer. You see the factory overload spring. I believe that the spacer was built into the whole pack, and it cannot be serviced. So all we need to do is just take this pack, or this spacer, stick it in the pack, and then put the new spring on it, and then we can sandwich them together with the U-bolts. That'll be the plan. So one thing I've noticed, see the spacing on this bolt? That bolt's gonna chew up a good amount of the spacing in that spacer. So if we take a look, we're about 80% coverage. I know it's a little dark right there, but this thing sticks up to right around this point on that spacer, which is going to leave the spring pack a little bit proud. See that? We're about 60% or 40% coverage, and the other one had about 80% coverage. So what I'm going to do is take that saw, and we're going to trim off the excess threads on this spring pack bolt right here, make it flush. That way we get the extra space so we have proper fitment. Shouldn't take long. Begin sawing now. Yeah, I know, Diablo blades, I know, but this is what I have. Good. Scratching my floor. Okay, now it's time to WrestleMania fight this thing. It's heavy. Slide it here. It's up. Hey Justin, come here dude. I need your muscles. Can you grab that spring? Pick up on it some. It's heavy. See the bottom pack of the spring there? Just slide it over. No, up. It's gotta go up. Look, there you go. That's it. That's it. A little more. Push it in there. Watch your fingers. Alright, you're good. Come on out. That's good. What is this gonna do? Well, I'm changing out my spring pack because it's got making a bunch of noise, kind of worn out, and I'm upgrading with a heavier duty overload spring.
He was here and then he was gone.
You going to lunch?
Yep.
Get out of here.
Yep, bum.
You bum. Woo! Okay, let's get this thing lined up with the bolt hole here. A couple of love taps. There we go. Okay, I've got a new bolt for the front because replacements are highly recommended. Right in there. It's not lining up. That's fine. Okay, so since the original bolt has this little taper business on it, here's what I'll do. Send that one in first to line it up. There, now it's lined. Knock that back out. It moved. So, new strategy. Check this out. What I'm gonna do, see if I can see what I'm trying to see here. Watch this. Look, a wasp nest. I'll take this guy. See how it moved? That's the issue here. So what I'll do, take that one, use that bolt to keep it lined up, and we'll run the new one in from this direction. Threads are fine. Relax, everybody. Threads are fine. I didn't hurt anybody. There's the washer. Got the pinch lock nut. Look at that thing, thread right on. Beautiful. Okay, so that's the front bolt in. Let's go around. Check the that pin. The pin has inserted itself. That's the bottom of that pin right there, which is actually a bolt. So now, grab our spacer and the overload pack, and then drop that into place. That guy goes right there, and spring pack over yonder. I believe this is symmetrical. No, it's not. It's a hanger thing in the back, or a clamp thing rather. An alignment clamp, there we go. Okay, so I've decided that this little guy goes in the rear, because I had this mocked up with that thing in the front, and it doesn't make good contact with that front pad over there. So this way there's more contact here and back there, so I believe that this is going to be the orientation of this specific spring pack right here. So now that guy's in there, we're going to grab our U-bolts and start dropping those things over, and we'll start to tighten this thing down to the axle itself. So the top of this thing, we've got to have the little plate in there. That's the alignment plate. That also doesn't seem to fit that very well. See that? That bolt's a little bigger than my plate. I can ream it. That should do it. Let's see, are we reamed right? There we go, look at that. Excellent. Minimal play, almost nothing. That's in position. So, we'll take the new U-bolts. Some of these are square-headed and some of those are round-headed. This particular design requires a square-headed bolt. Big old boy. It doesn't want to go in. What is problem? Nothing is problem. One and a two. There we go. Okay, so now that's all in position. Let's go down and get that bottom plate, and we'll feed that up into the bolt and attach these axles, or this side of the axle, to these springs here. Words. That's good. Almost. There she goes. Look at that. That's pretty. I like it. And yes, these bolts are a little longer than the other ones. I like to order these. I like to order them long, just in case, because I can always cut them off and make them shorter, but you have a hard time making them longer. So I got them a couple extra inches just in case I feel like I need it later on. Or I put a spacer in there and lift this thing up an inch or so. Very good. And contact is achieved. Excellent. Let's go out back and get the rear hangers installed next. Then we can start tightening everything down and bringing all these bolts up to torque. There we go. Okay, back in the back. Clearly we're not taking that trailer hitch off to get this to fit, so these bolts, this one's going in the opposite direction. Now I realize that removes the built-in redundancy, but I'm also not spending 2 hours to take this trailer hitch off. Receiver, rather. That one doesn't want to go. Justin's car. He puts some nice exhaust on it. It's got side pipes like that Shelby Cobra does. There's the washer around back and the pinch lock nut. Okay, so now this thing is mocked up, everything's in position, and it's bolted in. We're gonna go ahead and let the jacks down, put some weight on the spring pack, and then I can go ahead and tighten down all the fasteners while it's sitting level and correct. So, let's back on out of here. I'll leave this jack stand here, and I'm just going to kind of jack this axle up until the stand wants to let go. We're loading up these springs. Ding! Feels pretty decent. A little more. Alright, I think that's good. Now I can start to tighten things down a little bit. Looking forward at that front fastener, you get a bolt or a wrench on it, hold the bolt, and then attack the nut. Thick. Okay. And we'll go back around to the back side. Get that one next. Let's see if I can get in there with this. Maybe I can, maybe I cannot. Give the exhaust the reach around it treatment. Maybe I can fit in here. That one's tight. That one is spinning, so I need to put a wrench on it. I was tightening the nut on this side, but this one's getting the bolt at the bottom. So the bolt's turning, the nut has nothing to lock it in. So, get in here. What is that, 22? Bigger size. Flip it. There we go. There, now we got her. Beautiful. Okay, so got the front hanger bolt, the rear hanger bolts tight. I went in there with the wrench, tightened these little guys down a little bit farther. They're not fully torqued yet, but they do have some bit of torque on them. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw the wheels back on this thing and set it down, get all the weight on this leveled and proper, and then we'll finish up torquing those bolts. There's no need to torque them as it sits because the spring pressure is pulling away from the bolts. So the more I tighten it, I'm just fighting the spring pressure. So if I can just put the wheels down on the ground, get the weight of the chassis on the spring, it'll flatten those springs out a little bit, and then I can just torque them down a little bit easier. That's the plan. So let's get the wheels back on it and set it on the ground. Big old wheels. So the kind of easiest way to do this with these heavier dually wheels is actually going to be with a pry bar. You take a look down the bottom of the tire here. I can get under it with a pry bar, roll it up onto the bar, then use that pry bar to pick the wheel up. That way I'm not using my back to pick the wheel up. It's a smarter, not harder kind of thing. And then once you've got it up onto the hub, just push it in place. Now, see the valve stem right here? This is one of the biggest dually tire mistakes ever. You gotta line your valve stem up with your inboard tire and your outboard tire, because if you don't line the valve stems up, then your holes won't line up. And if you were to place the inboard valve stem in like this position, you'll never be able to get to it to put air in there, and then your tire runs flat due to incorrect installation. So there is a spec on how to mount dually tires. So the other one's coming in, and valve stem is right here. See that? There's valve stem. So I'm gonna make sure this stays up at the top. Turn it that way. Pry bar, get under it, pick it up, set it on the hub. And once it's on the hub, you feel for that valve stem again. It's right there. And then the other one, you see it? Other one's right there. So we are in place, in position rather. Stick that on like so, ready to rock and roll. Last one. Beautiful. Let's make them tight. Tighten. Go. All right, let's let her down. So that will be a little easier said than done because I've got this elevated quite a bit. What I can do is let the axle down. There we go. We're still on the stand right here. Let that axle go. Taking some weight now. So I'll come back up. We'll come back and we'll pick up the bumper with the jack one more time. Get it off the stand. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Always doing something sketchy. Do-do-do-do-do. Jack up the truck with blocks of wood. OSHA would be mad at me, but they need a warrant. La la la. La 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 la. Oh yeah. Snap, crackle, pieces of wood pop. That's fine. All right, time to drop the jack. Let's let this thing take all the weight. First time loaded. There we go. Look at that. That's pretty. Okay, so real quick, since we've seen the process words, let's go ahead and do a ride height check. I'm just gonna go wheel arch to wheel arch and compare the two sides. This one's right at, I want to say just shy of 41 inches. See that right there? Looks like 40 3/4. Let's check the other side. All the weight is fully on the spring pack. And this one, look at that, 40 3/4. Right on. So basically where we're at is the ride height remains unchanged because the bottom spring still maintains all the load. But if we see, take a look at that top spring. See that spacing in there? About an inch. And back here on the rear side, let's see if I can't get you guys back in there. That spacing, it's pretty closed up. Try that. Yeah, I can't see. Hang on, fellas. Hang on, let's try this. I'm over here ruining my own video. Let's see. And yeah, it looks like we're making contact on the back of the pad. I think that's okay. Let's go check out the other side. See what kind of spacing we end up with. This is the factory side. Got about two inches, maybe 3 inches of spacing on that one. And then back here, also got plenty of spacing. So that overload spring is definitely mating up with those bump stops, which means any amount of load I put into this is going to immediately start getting taken up by these overloads, which is good. That means the entire spring pack can share the weight rather than maximizing, or that's the word I'm looking for. Rather than applying maximum load to the primary spring pack and then letting the other load take, or letting the other spring take the overload. And that's how the design was going with this one, is when you would put any weight on it, it would max out the capabilities of the primary pack, and then this one just kind of did the leftovers. That configuration over there, they're both doing work at the same time. That may translate into some harsher ride quality. It may not so certain just yet, but I guess I can determine that later on. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this other side. Same procedure, we're gonna jack it up, pull the wheels off, yank the spring out, chop some bolts out of it, and then wrench and repeat. So that's gonna call that one a day. Having said all that, I do not feel the need to record both sides of this operation, so I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. I can't do a test drive on it because the drive shaft's sitting on the ground because I broke it. I'll talk to you guys about that later. All that being said, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you think about this operation and the improvements and the after effects of ride quality and load handling capability. What's your opinion? Register that in the comment section down below. Do not forget to engage that like and subscribe button while you're down there commenting, and most importantly, don't forget to have yourselves a fantastic day. See you guys later in a video, end of suspension repair, rebuild, in a Silverado, in a transmission.